see you, Brother Everett from Baltimore, race first. Start the recording. We'll get straight to it. Any questions or comments while we wait? We'll get started at 10 after.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. Still showing my screen though.
Conference recording started.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. Let me, in the sake of time, I'll go ahead and get started. So 10 after, we can go straight to the pledge and the questions. So it's 8:08 p.m. Today is January 18th, 2022. And this is our UNIA-ACL Division 421 officers training that we opened up to all officers in the UNIA. We'll be, today's lesson, session 16. We'll be reading lesson 16, propaganda. Did I spell that wrong? Propaganda. Okay, that's right. So first, we will go over the questions of lesson 15. And I guess the first question I'll ask, does anybody remember what the title lesson 15 was? And don't, yeah, anybody remember off memory?
Personality.
Personality, yes. Okay. So on the call tonight, we have myself, Brother John, Division 421. We have Division 106 Baltimore President, Brother Everett. We have Division 121 Lady President, Sister Kay. Division 421 Lady Vice President, Sister Ron Ebony. Division 421 Vice President, Brother Macias. And Division 421 Lady President, Mama Amina. LHS Late Show. I know the name. Is that you, Brother Macias? I thought that was you. Who's LHS Late Show? You can change your name. But it looks like we got 8 on the, or 7 on the line. Nobody's on conference as well. Okay. We got 8 on the line today. LHS Late Show. What's your name again?
First Vice. That's our first Vice in Baltimore, Brother James.
Okay, cool. He's cool. All right, I was getting ready to kick him out. Thank you. All right, it's 10 after 8. We'll go straight into pledge to get the meeting started. If you would, please find red, black, and green flag. Put your fist in the air and repeat after me. I commit my body, mind, and spirit.
I commit my body, mind, and spirit
to the protection, defense, and security.
To the protection, defense, and
security.
Of the red, black, and green.
Of the red, the black, and green.
Of the red, black, and green.
I dedicate my life to the redemption of Mother Africa.
I dedicate my life to the redemption of Mother Africa.
And the liberation of her scattered black children.
And the liberation of the scattered black children.
I accept for myself and my descendants.
I accept for myself and my descendants.
Teachings of universal African nationalism.
The teachings of universal African nationalism.
And I promise that our children will be instilled.
and I promise that our children will be instilled
with the purpose and knowledge of themselves as African people.
with the purpose and knowledge of themselves as African people.
In order that the cause of our struggle will neither falter nor fail.
In order that the cause of our struggle will neither falter nor fail.
Until all Black people are free and united.
Until all Black people are free and united.
Through one God.
Through one God.
One aim.
One aim.
One destiny.
And one destiny.
Okay. So yes, lesson 15. Make sure these things is jumbling up. Lesson 15, personality. Before we get into it, this is the last lesson in the second section of this course. So if you remember, the first 7 lessons, it's like personal development, things that we should know as individuals, things that we should be working on for ourselves to be better leaders and representatives of the organization. Second set of lessons is breaking down social systems, social structure, the purpose of institutions, how we interact with other nations and other governments and other organized groups. But it's teaching us organization, basically, but going beyond us as individuals and getting out into our immediate communities and how to be effective in our immediate communities. Third set of lessons, which we'll start tonight, propaganda. This is, from my understanding, this is when we're going out into the rest of the world. So we focus on ourselves, we focus on our immediate communities, and then the last set of lessons, that's when we go out into the world and there's nothing, well, I'm not gonna say it's nothing else, but that's the completion of the training. So up until this point, though, the expectation, as I always say, and as Garvey says, let me find that quote. The value of knowledge is to use it. So the reason why I'm saying that is, as we study this and as we've gone through this, we should be developing in these areas. And if there's things that we don't understand, we should be sharpening our skills. But we've talked about an exam or evaluation. I just want to make sure that anything that we certify from 421 perspective, or any individual that's certified, has a grasp of the lessons. So, all right. Any questions or anything before we get started? Okay. First question. I gotta move this bar somewhere. All right. The lesson start out with in the first paragraph. Garvey says, "Quote: a thing to impress the world with is your personality, is your own personality." End quote. What should our personalities make people think about us? The ultimate form of a developed personality. What should people think about us? Nobody on this one? Okay. Well, I had to interpret a little bit.
My mind is saying clean cut.
Clean cut? That's a part of it, yes. Anybody else?
Integrity.
Say again?
Integrity.
Integrity, yes. Let me pull up the book as well while we go through this. I like to go back to the book. if there's any questions. This is to the people book. Click the wrong thing. All right, we're not gonna be here all night. But
Hey, Brother
basically,
John.
yes.
My bad. I'm guessing here, but because I was kind of confused. Is it like how you supposed to be clean cut and something like that? Some of this, am I supposed to say that?
It is. Brother Macius mentioned clean cut. I think someone mentioned integrity. I know it was one of the sisters. I don't remember. I didn't catch exactly which one. But I'm looking, the total summation of all of that is what I was looking for. I'm just moving the book now. I guess I can come. I'll bring it to y'all in a second.
Perfect person. Saw it.
Yes, I think you saw it. You saw my. You saw that.
Yeah, we saw you. I saw your trick removed. I saw you when you moved it. I saw it when you moved it.
All right. Correct. Let me see. Well, I'm not gonna say correct, but that's the take that I got from it. First, so this is right in the beginning, and as you all should know, like my approach with these lessons and our approach with these lessons, it's not about giving my or our own opinion. It's just about trying to understand what Garvey was trying to communicate with each of the lessons. So we're going through them. I like to think of it as we're going through them with a fine-tooth comb, and we're discussing it amongst each other as a group to be able to articulate a summary of what that lesson was trying to teach. So Garvey starts this lesson. He says, the thing to impress the world with is your own personality. Your makeup as a man or woman must be so clean cut, which some individual said, as to leave nothing to suggest the incompleteness of a perfect person. So I think in summary, that's the beginning of how Garvey starts this lesson is, I would say, the perception of a perfect person, because nobody is perfect, but that's what a developed personality should allow us to have is the perception that people think, where did this person come from, who raised them, in a good way though, where did they become so cultured? But that's what our personalities should impress upon the people that we meet. And specifically, this lesson is talking about in public environments. So again, the first lessons, these are things, we can develop somewhat in private, but you still want to go out and master your abilities. But lessons 8 through 15 require us to go out into the community to develop these skills. Any questions on that? I felt it was a little long-winded on the first one. All right. This is a quote from the book. Man is always disposed to respect and honor those who show themselves observant of the rules of manly blank and blank. So man is always disposed to respect and honor those who show themselves observant to what rules?
Dignity and character.
Dignity and
character.
Yes, absolutely correct. Oh, am I still showing the book? I am still showing the book. Yeah. All right. Beautiful. But man is always disposed to respect and honor those who show themselves observant of all the rules of manly dignity and character. And Garvey had a whole lesson on character. Some of those concepts are repeated in this lesson, but these are two main points that we should pull from this perspective on personality, is the development of dignity and character. Because men naturally respect those individuals that have these characteristics. Dignity and character, yes. Third question, why should we always be clean cut and presentable. And this is I think it's a two-part answer on this one. Why should we always be clean cut and presentable? Well, more than two, actually. You really think about it.
To be taken seriously and respected.
Seriously and respected, yes. Yes.
Then say something
Anybody else?
about in case you see somebody out that could.
You got feedback, brother. Basically, how do you get feedback like that? He was saying if you see somebody out, I would like to.
I think he was saying something about if you might see somebody out that could possibly help you in a sense. I'm not sure that's the exact words, but that's what I took from it.
Yes. Both answers are correct. And I would add to that just general hygiene, the benefit of general hygiene as well. Being clean cut and presentable, it's a health aspect, you know. So even beyond trying to impress somebody else, you know, you should brush your teeth for the sake of brushing your teeth, not so somebody else don't think that you're brushing. Garvey says, the moment you throw off the reserve of your personality, you invite disrespect for your person. So that's one thing is, and he talked about that earlier, but when we're not at the top of our game, it invites disrespect. And then, as Brother Macy said towards the end, because of that very good appearance, you may win support to get out of your difficulty. So you may be in a difficult situation, but because you're clean cut and presentable, it allows you to get out of your difficult situation. I think a good example of that would be like a job interview. You know, even if you hadn't worked in 6 months, you need to get cleaned up and presentable for that job interview, and hopefully that'll change your situation. Questions, comments? Next question, number 4. When we present ourselves, and this is in a public forum, what is the world always looking for first? When we present ourselves and people are looking at us, what are they looking for first?
Defects or flaws.
Anybody else?
Imperfections.
Absolutely. World is always looking for defects first. So it's a natural thing. So, you know, don't take it personal, but we got to be at the top of our game because that's what people are going to see first is, you know, the hole in your shoes. You might have $1,000 suit, but, you know, you got a hole in your shoes. That's all people going to see and talk about. To maintain a good personality, you must maintain all the rules of what?
Hygiene. You just said it.
Say again?
Hygiene.
Hygiene. Absolutely right. Any questions on that? So again, this health aspect, you know, hygiene. We talked about it in character. We're talking about it in personality. We talked about it a little bit in elocution as well. So there's not a lesson, you know, in this course that's titled health, but we have to read between the lines and understand that hygiene and health is an important characteristic of leadership, especially in this organization. Any questions? What leadership or what, actually the question was what characteristic, I added leadership characteristics does your appearance affect? So what personal characteristics does your appearance affect? What'd you say? Say again.
Confidence. First time impressions.
Confidence, correct. I threw in there confidence in ourselves, just to be specific. That's not in the text, but let me see. As a matter of fact, since we, I know I like to be very fair, very direct. That's not my words; these are Garvey words. So we said to maintain a good personality, you must observe all the rules of hygiene. What were we just talking about? What was the question? Oh, what is your appearance effect? Thank you. Did I get the right page? 19. Oh, there it is. Your appearance adds to your personal confidence. So, personal confidence. So maybe that's what I should have put. But the better we look, the better we feel, the more confident we are. So, questions, comments?
I used to have a godmother, and she used to say, baby, when you look good, you feel good. So that all goes in the vibrations of the alignment of whatever that you have going on in front of you. Because if you leave the house and you look in the mirror and you can smile at yourself in the high altitude, then everyone else around you will do the same, because it first started with you. So if you have it with you, everyone else will have it with you.
Thank you, First Lady, Vice President. Very well said. Anybody else before we go to the next question? Okay. Next question. What does a perfect personality made through, let me make sure what is a perfect personality made through proper care of oneself give you? What does it give you access to? A perfect personality made through proper care of yourself. What kind of access does it give you, basically?
Empowerment, confidence.
Empowerment, confidence, yes, but specifically in regards to, like, I guess, realm.
Is it like access to the whole world, something like that?
It's a passport to anywhere in the world.
Yes.
Socially and otherwise.
Absolutely. Mama, you got the book open, huh?
Yeah, my brother, just like you.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. A passport to anywhere in the world, socially and otherwise. Let's see. Where is this one? Yeah, a perfect personality made through proper care of oneself is a passport to anywhere in the world, socially and otherwise. So, clean cut, good hygiene, good character. You'll be welcomed, and you'll be welcomed throughout the world. So I think that's the point there. Any questions, comments? Okay. Next, question 8. I think I didn't. What should we not do at a public platform or in a public arena? What should we not do?
To eat in public?
Correct. Eat in public. Garvey says, unless it's a eating event, like a banquet or a cookout or something, we should not eat in public. Any questions, or do I need to go to the text on that one? Okay.
No, that was before fast food places were so diverse. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Anybody else on eating in public?
Eating in public to me shows your vulnerability, because when you are eating, you are at a comfortable state. You are in an open portal with yourself. So you are comfortable, you're eating, you're not conscious of those around you because you are nourishing yourself. So when you are in public, some are not conscious of how they're presenting themselves when they are, eating. Sometimes the manners goes into not eating around others who are not eating, making sure that others around you are eating. So just, not going into that manner. It's just best to eat in private so that you can be in your own comfort.
Yes, you had one key word in what you said was perception and how people perceive you. That was what Garvey was trying to communicate. It's we have to be cognizant and conscious of how people perceive us. We no longer, and that's what we don't just represent ourselves, but we represent an organization and a larger body. All right. Next question. Garvey had some things to say about suits specifically. So I'm gonna ask the question: how many suits do we need? Also, how and why should we maintain our suits? This is talking about clothing, so suits that you would wear. How many do we need, and how and why should we maintain them?
One suit, it should be clean.
Very simple. Yes. One suit, it should be clean. Let me see what the next question is. Okay. But yeah, Garvey said specifically, he had a quote on page 120 that summarized it. It is better for the, well, I guess he's got two quotes, two paragraphs, but let's see. Oh, the last one. It is better for the public to say, quote, that man has been wearing that suit for a year, but has always been well kept, end quote. Than for the public to say, quote, that man changes his clothes, but he is always dirty, end quote. So always be clean body, costs very little, even one suit. You may keep it so clean as to always be presentable to the public. So having little is no excuse to not maintain what you have. Any questions? Because I want to say something about this. If nobody has any questions or comments.
Like my grandmother used to say, she was like, it's not about what you got, it's about how you keep it. It's not about what you do, it's about how you do it.
If anybody has read, do people, well, it's another question. It's a Garvey question. What inspired Garvey, and who inspired Garvey to create the UNIA for Black people?
When him and his best friend, when he experienced racism for the first time?
No, it was after that. It was a specific individual and something that.
Oh, with W.E.B. Du Bois?
No.
Good Marshall.
No.
I said the wrong name. I was thinking one thing and said another one. No, I'm talking about what's his name? He at the school, the Tuskegee Institute.
Booker T. Washington.
Booker T. Washington, yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
that.
You gotta speak. I know you said it, but I didn't want to. But okay. So yes, Booker T. Washington. What was the name of his autobiography?
Was it Up from Slavery? Something like that.
Yes, up from slavery. We should know these things. But he read that autobiography from Booker T. Washington. The reason why I'm bringing all this up, in the autobiography of Booker T. Washington, he talks about the same thing. He talked about, I think he used an example of socks. Booker T. Washington only had like one pair of socks. So he had to constantly, wash and keep those clean. But that was something, there was a time where he learned, the importance of maintaining what you had. It's just a little piece of information, a connection between Garvey and Booker T. Washington. Okay. Next question. This is a good one. And why do I spell it? That's spelled right. Okay. What does Garvey mean when he says that we should disappoint the public audience? What does Garvey mean when he says that we should disappoint the public audience?
Because the public audience is going to come at you looking for defects and imperfections. You got to show them that you got them all covered already. None here, brother.
Yes, sir. Pretty much. Yes. So basically, as we said before, people will be looking for your defects. He used the word scrutinizingly, head to foot, back to front. So that's how people, that goes back to the mindset of how people will be looking at you when we're on the podiums or in public forums. He says, disappoint them always by giving them the best you have in character. So they're going to be looking for defects. They'll be looking for, imperfections. So that's where Garvey says we should disappoint them because we know that they expect that. Questions on that one? All right, next question. What was the story of the two beggars, and what was Garvey communicating with that story? That's a long question. Yeah,
so he saw one beggar who was like real dirty. And well, he said that it was raggedy too. Some of his clothes was tore up and stuff. So he gave him a penny because he thought that he couldn't manage more than that. I don't know some words he used, but then so the other guy who was clean and everything was, not raggedy, and he gave him a sovereign, which I wasn't sure what it meant. I didn't look it up yet.
Very good summary, First Vice President. And I need to look up a sovereign as well. I skipped that one. I should know, but obviously it's something of value. But
I believe it's a bill.
It's a what?
A bill, like I guess it would be a dollar bill, but it was a bill. The bill.
Okay.
Yeah, instead of a penny, he gave him a bill.
Okay, makes sense. But yes, he looked at the first man. The first man was dirty, fingernails black and dirty, teeth unkept, bad breath and foul. Asked for help. I gave him a penny, walked away because I thought it was enough because he could not appreciate the use of more. So that presentation of, being unkempt or not being able to take care of yourself, it does not promote individuals to want to support you or give you money. And well, he talks about it a little bit like, I guess beggars, they have to do their thing as beggars, and that's all you got. That's all you got. But the better we present ourselves, even if you are in a rough state, from his perspective, you will get more support because individuals would think that you know what to do and how to manage the funds that you're given. He says, but Garvey says, 1 second. Garvey says, in summary, there's a moral. People will judge you by your appearance, whether you are rich or poor, and they will deal with you accordingly. Go ahead, Lady President.
I was just gonna say I looked at the definition. So the it's a British gold coin that's equivalent to a pound.
Okay. So yeah, gave him a pound. But yeah, I guess that's British dollar stuff. I'm not gonna say it's equivalent to a dollar, but they use pounds instead of dollars. Well, they use euros now. Back then they use pounds. Thank you, Lady President. Any questions on that one? Appearance and the story of the two beggars. Okay. What are some things that we should never make it a custom to carry, and why? What are some things that we should make it a custom, that we should never make it a custom to carry, and why? What should we never carry? It's personality.
Distress. Is it anger or distress, something like that?
Correct. Yes, distress is a great answer. Garvey says distress on your face, despondency, or overburdening sorrow. But why do we not carry distress on our faces?
Didn't he say it'll clog your thought process, something like that? Yeah,
No, you. That's later. But
I think it was like
People
people.
will lie to shun you. Keep
Yeah, that's
smiling. Keep being pleasant all the time, even if you are dying. It is better to be a pleasant corpse than a hideous, ugly looking one. Show distress only when you may win help from those you approach. But be sure that you have struck a right estimate in your sympathy.
Yes. Basically, people will shun you. Nobody don't want to be around, the negative individual. So earlier, Garvey said something. I don't know if y'all remember it, but he said, "Smile at the world, even though your mother is dead," or something like that, or your mother is dying. So, nobody. We're in this world to deal with our own issues. People can be sympathetic or claim to be empathetic, but if we have to be positive. Nobody wants to be around a downer. So, questions on that? Never carry distress on our face, despondency, or overburdening sorrow. People will learn to shun. If we are going begging for a cause like the UNIA, what must we not do? If we're going begging for a cause like the UNIA, what must
Don't
we
look like
not
a beggar.
Right. Don't beg. Don't beg.
Don't look like a beggar.
Yes. Well, he says be a personal beggar, but let me see. Y'all are right. If you are going begging for yourself, if you are going begging for a cause like the UNIA, you must not go as a revealed personal beggar. You would cause the person to say to themselves, "Why should I give him or her for a cause when he looks like someone who begs for himself and cannot be trusted with such philanthropic responsibility?" So we should not look like we're begging for ourselves or be a beggar for ourselves. Are we clear on that one? Let's see what the next one is. Okay. How do we win a good reputation in the community? How do we win a good reputation in the community?
By keeping up with our commitments and staying consistent.
Keeping up with commitments and staying consistent. I agree.
He said something about your individuality, allowing your personality to, shine through and stand out.
The words yes, Lady President, Garvey says by being up to date in his personality. I don't disagree with you, First Lady Vice President. Let me see. He says, win a good reputation in your community by being up to date in your personality. Let your individuality stand out clearly. Every man has an individuality. He is known by that individuality. The background of that individuality should be his clean-cut appearance. So even if we don't do anything else out in the community or do anything for any other people, we should stand out just with our clean-cut personality. Let me switch back over to the next question. Next question. Well, any questions on a good reputation in the community?
Stand in your truth. Whatever you do, do it the best.
I don't disagree, First Lady Vice President. Next question, what characteristic can undo a good personality? And this is besides hygiene.
Laziness?
Yes, it was laziness. Don't be lazy in whatever you have to do, because that laziness will grow on you. People will observe you and mark you as being lazy. If news circulates, it will undo you. So laziness is not a sign of good personality. So those are opposites in our teachings. In order to have good personality, you cannot be lazy. Questions on that? Anybody? Okay. Next question. How is your reputation tied to your name? How is your reputation tied to your name? What does your name and your reputation have anything to do with each other?
The character.
Follows you. Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say it follows you. It follows you through life.
What follows you through life?
Your name and your reputation.
How?
Is attached to you.
Most of the time, I think it was in like one of the earlier lessons, it was talking about people in the neighborhood know you and people in your community know you, and you'll be known by what it is that you do. So if you get a bad reputation or you have a bad name, more than likely you would have to end up moving to a new place where nobody knows who you are and try to restart. So wherever you are, because somebody's always going to know who you are, and that one little thing, whatever, like whether like in here, you know what I mean, whether you're being lazy, you're untrustworthy, you don't show up to things, or you take things lightly, all of that stuff, people are going to see it and it's going to be attached. So nobody's going to want to deal with you if you have like poor personality traits.
Excellent. I like the way you tied that. That's what I like the most is bringing the lessons together. But I like how you tied in the other lesson that Garvey talked about. Once we do damage our reputations, we got to leave that city or town. But both of y'all are saying the same. Y'all are saying generally the same thing. And they're correct. Basically, the things we create have our names attached to them, and the things that we do have our names attached to them. Garvey puts it in this paragraph: if you find a thing to do as a job or occupation, do it well and show interest in it until you have decided to do something else. While you are doing it, do it to the best of your ability and put your personality and individuality behind it. Because somebody observing you or coming after you will say, this thing was well done by Jones or badly done by Jones. Your reputation is at stake. So this could be sweeping the floor, mopping the floor, or tighten the screws or designing a car. It could be something simple or something very complex, but we have to have that level of accountability and responsibility and be proud of, the work that we do. But yeah, everything that we do is tied to, our names and who we are. So any questions on that? Okay. Yeah, this was well done by Jones. Next question is 17, but I've got it numbered differently, but don't worry about that. Just a couple more questions, then we'll do our reading. Don't cheat. In regards to our occupations, what does Garvey consider a waste of time?
Doing something that we don't like to do.
Doing stuff that you don't like to do? Yes, in a sense. Anybody want to add to that?
If we don't give our best into something, it'll be a bad job. So that's the waste of time because we didn't give our all.
You put your whole heart into it.
There it is. There we go. Well, I guess I got that somewhere else. But if we carelessly choose our occupation, Garvey considered that a waste of time. Let's see.
Listen, if you carelessly choose an occupation or employment and find afterwards that it does not suit your nature, it is a waste of time. If you dislike your employment or occupation, you will not concentrate on it and give the best results to your own benefit, because you will always be thinking of something else while mechanically doing what you are occupied with. Hence, to be your true self, always be sure to properly select the right occupation before you go into it.
Thank you, my brother. Yes. I'm pretty sure there's another. I thought I had another question, but the next question doesn't follow up. But yes, the brother read it directly from the book. To carelessly choose your occupational employment and find out afterwards that it does not suit your nature is a waste of time. But as Garvey talked about in some of the previous lessons, in order for us to reach our full potential, our mind and our heart or soul, should be in line. And if it's not in line, then we won't give our all naturally. So we're wasting our time. Next question. When we're in the public eye, what should we try to maintain? I don't know the answer to this one. I feel like I jumped around on this one. When we're in the public eye, what should we try to maintain?
Dignity.
Dignity. Yeah, I think you're right. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think it was dignity or poise or something like that. Yeah, I think this dignity is right.
Never be frivolous in the public eye or in the eye of company, because they will mark you down as frivolous and irresponsible. Always try to maintain the dignity of seriousness, or at least a poise that will suggest you are a person of dignified reserve. So, these lessons are, it's a call of responsibility, a call of accountability, but We're not, especially when we go out to government meetings or, city council meetings or community meetings, we're not there to be giggling and laughing and having fun. We're there to be serious, and we're there to take care of business. We can laugh and giggle, do all of that stuff when we get into our private areas, but in public, we have to maintain dignity or seriousness, or at least poise. Any questions on that? Okay. In life and death, what 3 stages must we go through one time each, and what must we do at each stage? So what are the 3 stages that we go through in life and death?
Yeah, basically you have fun as a child, you be serious as a man, and you rest as a corpse. I think the first one might be off a little bit.
Yes, I mean, you're pretty correct, First Vice President. So the 3 stages as a child, a man, and a corpse. And as a child, we prance and giggle. As a man, we must be serious and dignified. And then as a corpse, we rest peacefully. So there's a time and a place for everything. But we, if we claim to be, leaders, government representatives, we should be in the serious and dignified portion of that. Any questions, anything? What happens when we continue to make the wrong was somebody gonna ask a question? What happens when we continue to make the wrong decisions in life? So long term, we continue to make the wrong decisions. What happens? I don't know the answer to this.
Becomes a habit.
Becomes a habit. Yes. Let me see. Oh, it's a little bit bigger than that one, but yeah, it will become a habit. But what would it continue to lead to?
A complete failure in life.
There you go. I'm trying to get this stuff.
If you go on,
so when we continue to make the wrong decisions in life, summary is your life will end as a complete failure. We'll never be able to master anything. Your whole soul and heart was never in anything. So that's what I was trying to say previously. When we don't have the right occupation or anything. Any questions on that? Do we need to go to the book on that one? Or are we good? Okay. Okay, this one is important. And this one is a good one for us as leaders, because you'll come across this time and time. People will be presenting ideas and suggestions. Question number 12 looks like a quote. Darby says, quote, "Before you can impress others and get them to follow you or imitate you or accept your suggestions of anything higher in life," end quote. What must we first show before we can impress upon others our ideas or suggestions?
Success.
Yeah.
Success. Anybody else want to add to that?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Evidence of success in it. This should be. So I like how Garvey said that. I took it a little bit differently when I first read it. Before you can impress others and get them to follow you or imitate you or accept your suggestion of anything higher in life, you must show evidence of success in it. No man who is not successful can teach others how to succeed. It is impertinence for a man who has not succeeded through his personality to suggest to others, to other people, how they can succeed. Therefore, make yourself a success other people will follow the advice because they see you succeed. So we must show a level of success in the things that we suggest. Any questions, comments on that? Okay. And I kind of, well, I didn't, does anybody know the definition of impertinence? Nobody? So we're just reading it?
So pertinence is like pertaining to, right? So impertinence means it doesn't pertain, or I think I might be off. Because I know pertinence is like time too, so.
Lack of respect, rudeness.
That's the definition per Google. Good breakdown for the vice president as well as our Black Cross Nurse coordinator, breaking down pertinence and important and impertinence being basically unimportant. Google defines it as lack of respect or rude. How is it used in this lesson? How does Garvey use that word in this lesson? Specifically in regards to the previous question.
It's like saying that, you know what I mean? Like where do you get the audacity to tell me how to succeed when you have failed at every step?
Pretty much. I wouldn't necessarily say that you failed at every step, but you haven't shown, well, yeah, I guess that's the same thing. You haven't shown success. Let me see. Where did we say that word? I just read it. Okay, we're not. That's one. Here we go. It is impertinence for a man who has not succeeded through his personality to suggest to other people how they can succeed. So it's rude and disrespectful, you know, for someone that hasn't shown success to make a suggestion to you as an individual in position of leadership. Any questions or comments? Oh my goodness. Excuse me,
it's almost like a Baltimore fan, you know what I mean, celebrating, you know what I mean, coming off a poor, you know, a one in a lifetime victory. Whereas the Steelers have shown, you know what I mean, every single year, you know what I mean, never falling below 500, you know what I mean, for like 18 years in a row. You know what I mean? You've shown, you know what I mean, that we have taken that leadership and that we're successful in this thing. And and others fall short, but they want to throw stone.
I got you. Okay. We got a couple more questions and we'll just read. To maintain a good personality and robust individuality, what must we keep? This could go this would be answered a lot of different ways. But it's something in the text that uses these words. Anybody? What you think? To maintain a good personality and robust individuality, what must we keep or maintain? Well, I guess that's the first question. To maintain a good personality, what?
Proper physical conditions.
Yes, that's the answer. We must keep our bodies in proper physical condition. But again, there's no lesson on health, but Garvey implies, you know, in order to carry out these characteristics of leadership, of personality, of elocution, of character, a foundation is good health and a good physical condition.
I didn't think of that.
Next question. What does Garvey say is the best way to keep good physical condition? And this is where he's kind of repeating some of the things he said previously. Another lesson.
He says to keep our system clear. I know he says that, like to basically take like laxatives and, detoxes and things of that nature to keep our systems clear. Because if not, then our bodies will get compacted. Our systems will be compacted. And the stomach is the stomach is the thing that keeps the rest of the body healthy, pretty much.
I'm with you, Sister K. Yes, he uses the word purgative, and I'm glad you broke that down. I had to look that up. But purgative is like a laxative. So in Garvey's time, this was his recommendation to cleanse, your body at least once a week and purge toxins and things like that at least once a week. Any questions? Okay, next question. Why should we not try to make an important speech with a clogged system? Garvey said you shouldn't try to make an important speech with a clogged system. What was he saying? Why shouldn't we make a speech with a clogged system?
Foggy.
We'll say that again.
I think it was like your system would be poisoned and it'll mess with your mind while you're speaking.
Yes. First Vice President, I heard you a little bit. You were a little low. The poison will get upon your mind, but basically, when we get backed up or if we're not releasing, things that we need to release, it poisons our body, poisons our mind, and therefore would affect our speech and the things that we think about and the things that we talk about. So just another emphasis on keeping your system clean.
I don't recall him talking about fasting, but fasting is another thing. But yeah, flushing your system, that was something my grandmother used to always preach. And I never understood until I got older. You had a headache, maybe you need to take a laxative. Your stomach hurt, you need to take a laxative. Everything, any and every ailment was always relieved the same way with my grandmother. You need to take a laxative. You need to clean your system. When was the last time you flushed your system? So, I mean, it's crazy that I'm sitting here reading this, but even now, you know what I mean? Her, my aunts, even my mother-in-law, you know what I mean? It's like, no, you got to flush the system at least once a week, such and such and this and that. But I mean, it's good advice.
I show you backed up with toxins. So you have to flush all the toxins out of your body to bring in the new ones, to bring in new ideas, to give new room for new ideas. You have to clean out your subconscious, clean out your body, clean out of those old pockets, and bring in new ideas and new energy.
Yes, and brother did add a good point that Garvey, I don't know if Garvey mentioned it. I have to go back and read the lessons again, but fasting, I've learned of the benefits of fasting. And then Garvey does say in the text, if things change or things develop and we learn, new methods of doing things, and he gives us the freedom to apply it. I agree with what you were saying. Fasting is a good part of, I guess, flushing your system or cleansing your system. Our Black Cross nurse coordinator mentioned getting enough rest as well, and how that can flush the brain and flush toxins in your body. So, excellent comments. Correct this. What does Garvey? What?
What does Garvey say? Say is always.
Hmm. What does Garvey say is always a prevention against threatening diseases?
A good, clean system.
That sounds right. Black Cross Nurse Coordinator mentioned a good diet. I'm trying to find it in the book before I pull it down.
It's clear system.
Clear system. Okay, yeah, I see it. Scroll up
Says
on that
everything
one.
that you
A clear
eats is
system is always a prevention against threatening diseases, but yeah, clear system. Clear system. Yeah. Last question: what is the most important organ in regards to affecting the whole nervous system? Lady President, Sister K was mentioning it, but Garvey ends it with the last paragraph. He talks about this organ and the importance of this organ.
stomach.
Absolutely, stomach. So now I'm gonna just read the last two paragraphs, and for Macius, we'll go into lesson 16. Garvey summarizes, ends the lesson with personality. He says, keep your system clear at least once a week. If a motor car runs all the time without being cleaned or overhauled, it will suddenly one day break down, and it is iron. How much more will the human body not break down if he doesn't keep the system clear? Everything he eats does not pass out voluntarily. Some things remain in the system to breed germs or disease, which may affect you in all ways. The greatest insurance is to keep your system regularly cleansed. A heavy stomach or disordered stomach affects the whole nervous system. All the nerves are related to the human body, and they depend on the stomach chiefly as a main artery of supply. If the stomach grows sick, it sends poison throughout the whole body. Keep your stomach clear. It is better to be half hungry than wholly full. So it seems like Garvey would have appreciated fasting, the way he ended that. All right. Any questions or comments on lesson 15 before we go into lesson 16? All right. Brother Macius, are you available?
Lesson 16, propaganda. Propaganda means to propagate or to make known extensively some particular phase of human intelligence. The desire is to convert or influence the people to the acceptance of the truth of that particular intelligence that is sought to be spread among them. Propaganda can be true or false in its origin or intent, but it is always directed at the public for the purpose of winning the support of that public to the sentiment expressed in the propaganda. If you hate a man, giving him a bad name well may explain one of the purposes of propaganda without truth behind it. Nearly all organized efforts have a system of propaganda to convert people to their principles and get them to support them, even though there may be no merit behind it at all. Propaganda is all around. Make you buy a special brand of cigarettes, although no good, but advertise to be the best, to make you drink or use a certain brand of tea, telling you of its wonderful qualities and its everlasting benefits when there is absolutely nothing to it, and so on. Before the war of 1914 to 1918, the Germans were known to be the most cultured and scientific people in Europe. When the war started, the other nations, in order to discredit the Germans and to hold them up to the world, ridiculed and told them up to the world to discredit the Germans. Oh, I'm sorry. Ridicule and the contempt of civilization. Released the propaganda that classified the Germans as Huns and barbarians. This also reveals how organized intention can be carried to the public for public acceptance without thought. The press, cinema, pulpit, schoolrooms are all propaganda agencies for one thing or the other. The pulpit carries religious propaganda, the schoolroom carries Educational propaganda, the press carries out written propaganda, the platform carries on oral propaganda, the cinemas carries out demonstrative propaganda. These methods have been devised by the white man to spread his ideas universally among men. That is why he is able, in a major sense, to control the minds of the people of the world. The white man is a great propagandist. He fully and completely realizes the value of propaganda. Therefore, you must organize your propaganda to undo the propaganda of other people if their propaganda affects your interests. The Bible is religious propaganda. The school book is literary propaganda. The novels and books you read are also literary propaganda, all calculated to bring about certain results beneficial to the propagandist. Never forget then that you are surrounded by a world of propaganda, all dressed up or cooped up to suit a doubtful public that is not careful about what it digests from without. The artist is also a propagandist. He paints pictures to convey the idea he wants to impress upon the non thinking and doubtful public. The sculptor is also a propagandist. His chisel figures and portrays them to suit the aim or purpose he wants to achieve. The pictures of the Madonna and Christ and of the angels are painted portraying a white race so as to inflict
Mhm.
upon the rest of the world the belief that God, the angels, and the Holy Family are all white, as well as Adam
Mhm.
and Eve. Adam and Eve were black. They also paint the devil and the imps of hell black to impress upon the world the belief that all that is black is evil and all that is white is good and holy. Tear from your
Mhm.
walls all pictures that glorify other races. Tear up and burn every bit of propaganda that does not carry your idea of things. Treat them as trash. When you go to the cinema and you see the glorification of others in the pictures, don't accept it. Don't believe it to be true. Instead, visualize yourself achieving whatever is presented. And if possible, organize your propaganda to that effect. You should always match propaganda with propaganda. Have your own newspapers, your own artists, your own sculptors, your own pulpits, your own platforms. Print your own books and show your own motion pictures and sculpture your own subjects. Never accept as your subjects of another as yours subjects of another race, but glorify all the good in yourselves. Keep your home free and clear of alien objects of glorification of other races. Otherwise, your children will grow up to adore and glorify other people. Put in the place of other of others the heroes and noble characters of your own race. Never allow your children to play with or to have white dogs. It will give them the idea of having white children themselves. Give them the dolls of their own race to play with, and they will grow up with the idea of race love and race purity. Watch the newspapers, magazines, and journals daily for propaganda against your race or your institution, particularly against the UNIA. Rush into print immediately a defense of your race, institution, and organizations from any attack. Never allow any insult propagated to go unanswered by you. Be ever vigilant to down anything by way of propaganda that dishonors or discredits you. Don't help the other fellow to carry on propaganda against yourself or your race. All propaganda comes from the arranged desires of individuals and not from a race as a whole. It is the thinkers and leaders who originate propaganda. By insisting on its wide distribution, they get other people to think as they like. Don't accept the thoughts of others through propaganda unless it coincides with yours. Don't follow the band down the street because it plays sweet music to the propaganda of the circus manager. He may lead you into the circus tent and take away your pocketbook. That is to say, don't get on anybody's bandwagon because he may drive you to hell with his sweet music. Like the Pied Piper of
Huh.
Hamlet, who played his sweet pipe and led the rats out of the city and into the sea and drowned them. Propaganda organized by somebody else is always calculated to take advantage. Don't help them do so. Always ask, what is this about? What is the object of this? Who has sent this out? What is he aiming at? Will it hurt me and my race? Is he trying to get an advantage over me? Is it honest? Is it true? If you ask these questions of all propaganda that comes up before you swallow it, you will be able to take care of yourself. Don't sing the songs and repeat the praises that glorify other races. Sing your own songs and recite your own praises that glorify your own race. For instance, it is foolish for Negroes to sing or say, Britons never shall be slaves, when they themselves have been slaves and are likely to be slaves. They don't impress upon their minds that they, as Negroes, will never be slaves again. Sing, therefore, Negroes never shall be slaves. Be careful how you sing religious hymns that have been written, dished up, and made popular by white writers to glorify the white race in the name of God, taking advantage of the silence of God to impress inferiority upon your race, such as the great white wings of angels, the great white thrones of God, wash me white as snow. All these are damnable, vicious forms of propaganda against the black race. Though my sins be as scarlet, they shall be whiter than snow. Wash me in the blood, and I shall be whiter than snow. All these things reflect the propaganda designed by the white man to glorify his skin and his race as against the black imps of hell and the black devils and the black pale of doom. The idea of the white man making black a symbol of mourning and sadness is just to show the extreme of the purity of whiteness and its joy and happiness. Reverse this. If possible, teach the Negro that when he is in mourning, he should wear white, and when he is happy, to wear black. This is meeting propaganda with propaganda, the hatchet with the hatchet, the stick with the stick, and the stone with the stone. Everything on earth is man's creation. So out of man's propaganda and mind, he has created his special system of opinion to meet his design. Therefore, customs are based upon acceptance of propaganda skillfully engineered. Have your own propaganda and, and have your own propaganda and hand it down through the ages. Write your own poetry and recite it. Compose your own songs and sing them. Write your own interpretation of the scriptures and history and teach them as far as the interpretation of others affect your race. Challenge the thought of any book or of other literature that dishonors or discredits you in any particular way, and give it the widest publicity so as to undo the harm intended. Remember always that an error not corrected ultimately becomes a fact. Never allow false statements or allegations against your race, to become current and pass into history as if they were facts. War. War is the hellish passion of man let loose in opposition to man. It sums up the cruelty of man towards man. It always aims at the stronger, taking advantage of the weaker to gain that which could not have been acquired otherwise. Because of the failure to use human reason, war comes when men fail to adjust their differences with reasoning. Always be prepared for the exhibition of the vilest passions of men in war. Man has always warred against his fellow man. It started with Cain against Abel and has continued down through the ages and shall never be so as long as man remains an unreasonable creature. No generation has shown that man intends to become wholly reasonable. Therefore, in time of peace, prepare for war, so as not to be caught unprepared by your enemy, who will naturally be the stronger, if he is prepared while you are not prepared and using the implements of warfare. War is not a good thing, but man is also not a good being. You must expect war from his disposition. All things are fair in war to win the advantage over your enemy. When there is war, use all the implements at your disposal to defeat your enemy. Do not discuss terms while you are warring, discuss them after you are victorious. When war comes, all resources of intelligence and wealth, all utilities are placed at the service of those who conduct the war to, to make them victorious on behalf of those for whom they are warring. Therefore, have in view the obtaining and controlling of all such resources, factors, and utilities that may be necessary as ammunitions of war. There may be righteous wars as well as unrighteous wars, depending entirely upon the civilization that makes the war or defends itself in war. It may be war to put down human abuse in favor of human virtue. War makers have always justified war in some way or another. If you become engaged in war, always have justification for your engagement. If the war is not yours, get something out of it before you go into it and complete it for the good of others. Never go into war foolishly. Never sacrifice your life without good results for your cause. War is the best time to take advantage of your transgression, whoever he may be. Whenever he is engaged in war and he promises you nothing, you will never get anything from him in time of peace. Therefore, during the time of war, make your bargains before you help anybody else in war. If you are suffering from the abuse of others and there should be a threat of war against them from some other source, encourage it because it will be your chance to force a square deal. The more other people war among themselves, the stronger you become if you exercise good judgment. Divide your enemies so as to gain your advantage. Always keep them divided so as to be able to gain the advantage. Your only hope of escaping the hate and prejudice of other people is to keep them severely occupied with other problems. If they have nothing else to attend to, they will concentrate on you and your problems will be aggravated. While others have gone to war, try to be at peace among yourselves to gather the spoils of war. Never talk war openly to your enemies, but be prepared for war. If you talk it, they will become prepared, waiting for you. Keep the other races divided and fighting each other as much as you can, so to take advantage for yourself. If they have no other problem to occupy their time, they will turn to you and turn on you. Keep them occupied for a while. The more confused they are worrying about the more confused they are worrying over their troubles, the more time you will have to get out of your trouble. Propaganda.
Thank you, First Vice President Donation. That completes reading of lesson 16, titled Propaganda. I'll open the floor for questions, comments on tonight's lesson.
Said any comments?
Yeah, I mean, just, anything you thought, anything that came to mind. Does it bring back any other lessons, anything?
I think this right here has got to be, for me anyway, and listening to it, one of like the most powerful lessons so far that we've gone over, because it incorporates everything that's being done to us present day. When he talks about propaganda and everything, you have like they've pretty much, destroyed the Black media, and Black newspaper, and that was one of Garvey's strongest points, was his penmanship and being able to put words to paper and spread it out throughout, throughout the world. When we came up with, I think most of us around the same age, when rap hip hop came out, it spread a positive message, and they absolutely refused to play it on the radio. And I don't know if y'all remember, Brand Nubian came out and they depicted the devil as being white. They got kicked off of MTV. MTV wouldn't show their videos, wouldn't, do anything. When Public Enemy was talking about, standing up and fighting for, fighting for our rights and taking our communities back and everything, they banned them off the radio, wouldn't play it. But now you listen to the radio and you read this chapter and you listen to the radio and it's talking about, sing songs, and keep constant, disruption. Sing songs that degrade your race. Sing songs that bring you down. Don't sing anything that's going to uplift you. Because if you have an uplifting song, then they're not going to play that. They're not going to push that agenda. Let one of like these entertainers say anything about the occupation of Israel, and you're done. You're done. They're not going for that. You know what I mean? When you start talking about war, talking about keeping them, fighting against each other. Look at the propaganda that they use against us. Oh, blacks can't get along. Y'all can't get along. Y'all can't get along. Man, go check out a Sunday morning at about 11 o'clock in the morning. You tell me that black people can't get along when the vast majority of them are sitting in church, sitting side by side with each other. How many people are on this call? How many people are part of the UNIA? But the propaganda is that we can't get along. You know what I mean? We can get along when it comes down to rooting for a football team. We can get along when they're talking about going to a concert. But when you start talking about us getting together and moving our community forward, Then all of a sudden, that's when all the other people start coming out, and that's when you get distracted. That's when, you know what I mean, Black Lives Matter as not as an organization, but as us, our lives. And we going out fighting for our lives, and we going out, we protest because of some type of injustice. And then all these other people come out and they push their agendas within our protests. So then all of a sudden, the things we started off fighting about get lost in the mix. They get lost when people start throwing bricks. They get lost when people start looting. And next thing you know, you're looking at a place like Seattle where we ain't even there. And it's, you know what I mean? Ain't no Black people out there protesting. But they still yelling Black Lives Matter. They still riding, and we still catching the heat from it. We not even there. Because they take anything that's going to uplift us, that's going to turn us, to unite us, and they turn it against us.
That's for sure.
Everything in this chapter, man, is going on with us right now. Every single thing is absolute war. I'm done.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, my brother. A lot of things came to mind as you were speaking, but towards the end, when you mentioned the word propaganda and the summary, I was trying to find my book, Philosophies and Opinions, but I'm pretty sure I can remember it. Garvey says propaganda has done more to ruin the intentions of, or the good intentions of men than open warfare, something like that. But I know I'm close enough. But you're absolutely right. We have to be aware of, what propaganda is, how it has evolved from Garvey's time, from, newspaper and radio to, internet, social media. So propaganda is different, but it's still being used the same way. And I like how Garvey, where I saw a summary of propaganda, let's see. He was talking about the different types of propaganda. But he was talking about different types of propaganda, and when he was going through it, I related it to institutions and how in the section on institutions, he was talking about, the different types of institutions. So, yeah, propaganda basically, as he's saying, it's affecting the way people think about certain things. So whether that be war in Vietnam or, the quote unquote terrorist attack of 9/11, propaganda will shape, how the community feels about it. And he used the comparison of, 1900s Europe, and how Germany was at one time was considered, the height of science. But once the war started, that image quickly changed based on, the nations that they were fighting against. But I'll close quickly. And the last thing is just the war aspect. And one thing I want us, well, in my opinion, I think we are at war. It's a different type of war right now, but it is active, and we have to be aware of that as well. So I'll end with that. Any other questions, comments, anything before we move to close?
President John, this is Brother Mason. One of the things that really stood out to me was when he was talking about the action to keep people divided or focus on something else so they can't focus on you. In regards to propaganda, it makes me really think about, that somebody must have read this book, because that's happened to us so much, where they consistently use two different polarities to keep people not focused on what's really going on. Vaccinated versus unvaccinated, Democrat versus Republican, all these things. And when he was talking about not jumping on people's bandwagons, you know, and it brought me back to a previous lesson where when he was talking about protesting and not to necessarily deal in all that protesting and not to necessarily think the police is, you know, not there to serve you, you know. I think a lot of this stuff is like propaganda that takes us away from the focus of creating for ourselves, and our, you know, ability to do that, you know, with a lot of stuff that's going on in the media. They try to keep us distracted and focus on a mindset of weakness, that we are weak, that we're victims, and this victim mindset brings the energy of not being able to have the tools in front of you. And I think one of the sentiments that Garvey trying to remind us that we already have all the tools to do everything for ourselves. We must stay in that mindset at all times and not fall into the tricks to distract us.
Amen. Everybody still there?
Yeah, it got real quiet.
Yes, I was waiting on. Is he still on? Yeah.
Where's the black folks, honey?
I think everybody just reflecting on this whole chapter, man. This chapter is something else, man. This lesson is something else. Good gracious.
Brother John.
If you're speaking, Brother John, we can't hear you.
Yeah, Brother John, you speaking? Are you still here?
Oh my goodness, yeah, I was on mute. Sorry.
Oh. We didn't hear nothing you said.
Thank you. Basically, I was saying, because Brother Macy's was speaking and he was talking about being distracted. So I was trying to bring back, for me, that brought up lesson 3. And I wanted to ask everybody, when we say one God, one aim, one destiny, what is that one aim, or what do we believe that one aim to be? How do we stay focused and keep from being distracted with, you know, the choices that they give us, this team or that team, you know, Republican, Democrat, vaccinated, unvaccinated? What is our aim? What's our focus?
Our aim is to play the background and keep focused on our own liberation in our own land for our own people.
That's where I was going. Liberation for our own land, our own people. We're looking to create a sovereign nation on the continent of Africa. That's lesson 3 tells us that everything that we do should go towards, you know, should be going towards our ultimate objective of liberation of our people and having a sovereign land in Africa. So what Kamala Harris or what Joe Biden is doing, if it's not affecting, you know, what Trump is saying, if it's not affecting, you know, our ability to obtain a sovereign nation in Africa, it doesn't concern me, you know, and it, you know, that should be our focus, you know, like what team, you know, won the Super Bowl or whatever, lost, whatever, that's fine. But, you know, that's also a level of propaganda that they put out there, you know. Steph Curry hitting breaking the 3-point record. Oh my God, you know. But that's a distraction for me. So, last thing I'll ask before we go, I know it's 9:41. This lesson is titled Propaganda. Well, 2 questions. What was Garvey's form or highest form of propaganda in his time? What was the name of his circulation?
Say that again.
What was Garvey's form of propaganda at his time? What was the name of it?
Oh, print material, print media.
But his
Newspaper.
specific, the one that he owned and he used, what was it called? Whirlwind?
Garvey Voice? One of the Garvey Voice?
No.
I'm thinking that's what we have now, right?
Yes, that was my next question.
Oh,
it was the Negro World.
Yeah,
Negro World.
That's it. And the Garvey Voice is this one. All right.
Yes. So in regards to propaganda, I would argue that the Negro World was the strongest, or if not one of the strongest forms of propaganda that Garvey had at his time. I was using that as an example to bring it to modern day time. And as Brother Everett said, we have our Garvey Voice magazine. So it's not the only form of propaganda that we have. We have a government website. However, we should be using as much as we can and trying to be as effective as we can, and at least being aware of some of the forms of propaganda that we have in the organization currently.
We also had a collective Black people movement.
Yes, we do. But from a UNIA parent body perspective, the Garvey's Voice is supposed to be, it's envisioned to be the united voice, of all of the divisions, and keeping, not necessarily keeping everybody on, keeping everybody on the same page, or at least aware of the same information. But yes. Any other questions, comments? 9:43, a few minutes after we're supposed to leave. Okay. So we will have questions on lesson 16 next week. So make sure you study that, look over that, highlight it, summarize the paragraphs, and then we'll start lesson 17, communism, next week.
Okay.
Only a few more lessons. I think it's maybe 6 or 7 more lessons. So we finish propaganda, communism, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're finishing up, but all right. We'll close out with the motto of the organization. Put the fists in the air and repeat after me. One God.
One God.
One aim.
One aim.
One destiny.
One destiny.
Africa.
Africa.
For the Africans.
For the Africans.
Those at home.
Those at home.
And those abroad.
And those abroad.
Stay safe, family. Y'all have a good week, and we'll talk soon.
All right, race first, everybody. Good job on them questions, Brother John.
Thank you, President Everett.
You be making me feel like I ain't read the book. Be like, dang.
I gotta let me know. I was thinking, do y'all like? I was thinking like, because I sent it out maybe at 6 o'clock today. I was gonna send it out like 5 o'clock. I was wondering, would that give everybody enough time to read it and review it, or is what we're doing enough, or is people just not even reading it, no matter how much time they got?
No, you
that was good.
Yeah, you on point. It's not you. You on point.
Okay.
It's just you be hitting up some. You just be they good questions. You gotta go back and think. You gotta go back and think a little bit. They just good questions.
Thank you.
But all right, enjoy the rest of your day, Brother John.
Thank you, President Everett.
All right, I holler.
Thank you, Brother John.
Thank you, Lady President. All right.
Thank you, Doctor. Take care.
Thank you. Get some rest. We'll talk soon. Race first.
Thank you, Race first.
Race first, everybody.